Yeah, we know that late last night, people were still waiting for nine of the people who are being charged with actually insulting officials, insulting police. But we know that there's quite a lot of police violence against the demonstrators. Now, these had been mostly human rights activists, but they had been joined by political parties, which we haven't seen too often. So there was hundreds of demonstrators basically trying to sort of say that they're against this referendum, this constitutional referendum that's coming up on Monday. They see it as an attack on human rights. They see it as an attack on freedoms. And there were several people who were injured, including journalists at the protest yesterday. We saw that actually the head of the journalist union here, he's released a statement after he was treated for injuries. He said that he holds the president and the Minister of Interior responsible directly for this. And he also called these fascist practices. So there's certainly been quite a lot of anger over this, and we'll see how this will play out in the upcoming referendum on Monday.
Well, tell us more about the referendum then. Most political parties there, they say they're going to boycott the vote. What about public opinion?
Right. Yeah. There's only a few parties that have said they're actually voting no. We've seen most of the parties, most of the big parties, have said that they're going to be boycotting. They see it as illegitimate. There was a very short time period for the drafting. The drafting process itself, they said, was not very inclusive. We saw very little access to the drafting committee, very little public input. There were already many groups, many civil society groups who decided to not participate in the drafting process because they saw it as sort of a project from the president that he would do whatever he wanted. And in fact, even some of the legal scholars that the president had helping him draft, once they turned in their draft to the president, it was completely changed by the president. And they've gone on the record saying that they don't see the system that he's introducing, which is not just a hyper-presidential system, but even some critics have called this a dictatorial system with very few checks on the president. Now, at the same time, we're seeing that the president's support base is very excited about this. Now, it may be that during the referendum, we could see a positive result. A lot of people are seeing this as a vote of confidence in the president, and also as a way to sort of say that the previous system and previous parties have failed, and to vote against them and say that Tunisia needs something new. So it's unclear how big the turnout will be. There isn't a threshold for the result, whether the result will be considered as legitimate based on the threshold. So even if we see very low participation, that may be considered as enough to pass the referendum on Monday and have a completely new constitution that replaces the 2014 constitution.